A rumor shook Africa. A powerful princess, unlimited wealth, global influence. Yet one African leader reportedly said no. Not because he lacked options, but because he chose loyalty over temptation, purpose over power, and his people over everything, turning what sounded like gossip into a symbol of pride, discipline, and a new kind of African leadership the world could not ignore. I do not serve beauty, wealth, or power. I serve my people, and no distraction will ever pull me away from my mission. And it is this mindset that sits at the center of a surprising rumor that recently spread across TikTok, YouTube, and multiple African news platforms, where people began claiming that a Dubai princess had asked President Ibrahim Traoré to marry her, and that he had firmly refused. A story that immediately went viral because it felt unexpected, dramatic, and emotionally charged, with many people refusing to believe it at first, until more videos, commentaries, and posts kept appearing online, causing the rumor to grow larger by the day, shocking audiences because the idea of a princess proposing to a sitting president is already rare, and the idea of that proposal being rejected made it even more powerful and intriguing, pushing social media users into loud reactions filled with laughter, celebration, and passionate debate, especially among Africans who began to see the rumor as more than entertainment, but as a symbol of a strong leader who cannot be influenced, distracted, or controlled. And even though the story was never officially confirmed by any government, the public reaction was intense because many interpreted it as proof that no matter how beautiful, wealthy, or powerful someone might be, President Traoré remains focused on his mission, which is exactly why the rumor spread so widely, as it was not treated like ordinary gossip, but as something larger, representing confidence, discipline, loyalty, and purpose, with claims within the rumor stating that the princess openly expressed admiration for Ibrahim Traoré, that she followed his speeches online and described him as a man of courage, conviction, and destiny, even reportedly saying she was willing to become his second, third, or fourth wife, a detail that pushed the story into an even more dramatic space, because a princess admitting her feelings publicly is already unusual, and a princess offering to be a later wife is even more shocking, causing people to ask deeper questions about her true intentions, with many believing there was a hidden motive behind the admiration, suggesting that perhaps she was not acting out of love, but was being used as a distraction or influence, leading TikTok and Instagram discussions to quickly shift toward political strategy, where users argued that powerful nations often change tactics when old methods fail, claiming that the princess represented a soft power approach, a gentle and attractive method to reach a leader who could not be controlled through force, pressure, or threats, which is why the rumor carried such explosive energy, mixing emotion, mystery, politics, and symbolism. And in today's digital world, a story with all those elements spreads faster than fire, with many Africans responding by saying, "This is not love, this is a tactic," while comments repeatedly stated that powerful forces had already tried political pressure, threats, bribes, and dangerous moves against Ibrahim Traoré, and when those failed, people believed a softer approach was attempted, drawing from historical examples where strong leaders were weakened or trapped through relationships, causing many to compare the situation to the Delilah method, referencing the story of Samson, who lost everything by trusting the wrong person. And whether the rumor is true or false, what mattered most was the reaction, as people became protective, describing Traoré as focused, disciplined and loyal to his mission, saying he is not the kind of leader who falls for tricks disguised as beauty. And according to the rumor, his response was calm and respectful, thanking the princess for her admiration while firmly declining the proposal, reportedly saying that he already has a beautiful African wife and that his heart belongs to her and to Burkina Faso, a response that deeply touched many people because it symbolized loyalty not only to family but to nation, reinforcing why this story refused to fade and why people continue to talk about it. They admired the fact that he did not chase status, money, beauty, or power, but instead chose commitment, values, and principles. And in a time when many leaders around the world fall into scandals, corruption, and temptation, this kind of character felt rare and powerful, which is why many Africans celebrated the alleged response as a victory, saying this is what standing on business truly looks like. Because for them, the story represented something far bigger than romance. It represented a leader who chooses his people over personal gain, a leader who cannot be bought, and a leader who protects his mission at all costs. And whether the rumor is completely true or not, the message behind his supposed answer inspired millions, which is exactly why the story became so meaningful, with many people online believing that this situation, rumored or real, was a major test for Ibrahim Traoré, as they argued that powerful countries often test African leaders in different ways, sometimes with money, sometimes with threats, and sometimes through beauty or romance. And many believe this proposal was one of those tests because the princess was not an ordinary woman, but someone rich, powerful, and from a royal family, meaning that accepting her proposal could have completely changed Traoré's life, lifestyle, and political position, potentially giving him international influence and wealth. Yet, according to the rumor, he said no, and that single no is what made people believe this was truly a test of his mind, his discipline, and his loyalty, leading many Africans to feel proud, believing Traoré passed the test with honor, showing the world that he cannot be controlled, distracted, or bought, remaining loyal to his wife and to his country. And for many young Africans, this became a lesson that when you have a purpose in life, you should not let anything, not even the most beautiful distraction, pull you away from it, which is why people celebrated so loudly, believing Africa is finally producing leaders who cannot be shaken, as social media exploded with reactions across TikTok videos, YouTube comments, and Instagram reels filled with excitement, jokes, and deep political discussions, with some laughing and saying the princess came with beauty and money, but Traoré still said no, while others took it seriously, calling it a sign that Africa is rising and can no longer be manipulated, as many women praised his loyalty to his wife, saying this is what real love looks like, while men called it real strength and discipline, and younger audiences described it as something straight out of a movie, a powerful princess being rejected by a man who cares more about his mission, with memes spreading that labeled him Africa's king, unshakable, and the president who cannot be bought, making the reactions funny, emotional, and powerful, inspiring even people from other African countries who said if Burkina Faso can have this kind of leader, then all of Africa can rise too, turning the rumor into a symbol of African pride, focus, and unity. And whether the story is 100% true or not, the emotions were real, as Africa felt proud and deeply connected, because for many Africans this was not just gossip, it felt like a victory, a win for dignity, a win for loyalty, and a win for African confidence, especially in a world where global powers often try to influence African leaders with money, pressure, or gifts, making this story feel different, showing a leader who stands strong, with people saying this is the first time they have seen a leader reject something so tempting, because a princess from a rich Gulf family offering love and marriage is not a small thing, and many believe most leaders would have accepted immediately, but the rumor says Traoré did not even hesitate, and that firmness made people feel proud, proving Africa is no longer easily controlled, that African men can choose their wives and their people over status and wealth, that African leaders can stay focused and loyal, which is why so many people said a win is a win, and even those outside Burkina Faso celebrated, saying this victory belongs to all black people, because in the end it was never just about marriage. It was about self-respect and strength, and people around the world began saying that this story carries a powerful lesson about staying focused, disciplined, and clear about your purpose. Because no matter how attractive a distraction may be, or how shiny an opportunity looks, you must protect your mission at all costs. And this rumor reminded people that the most dangerous traps often come wrapped in beautiful packaging, that not every compliment is genuine, not every gift is innocent, and not every opportunity is meant to help you, because some are designed to control you. And Traoré's alleged response taught a deep lesson that true confidence comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for. That if you have a goal, you must guard it against anything that tries to pull you away, whether it is money, fame, beauty, or power. Making the lesson simple but powerful, that when you truly know your path, no distraction can defeat you. Which is why so many young people online said they felt inspired to become stronger, wiser, and more disciplined in their own lives. And that is exactly why this story, whether real or rumored, transformed into a message about focus, loyalty, and purpose. With one of the biggest reasons it resonated so deeply being the message of loyalty. As people said, Traoré proved that a strong leader does not forget his partner, his home, or his roots, no matter how great the temptation is. Especially in a world where stories of broken marriages, scandals, and leaders falling into distractions have become common, making news of his loyalty to his wife emotionally powerful, with many women celebrating and saying it showed respect for African women and African families, making them feel seen, valued, and honored. While many men said they wanted to be like him, a man who stands firmly beside his wife and does not let fame or beauty change who he is, turning the story into a standard of love, commitment, and respect. While people also appreciated the idea that a leader can put family first, saying that if a man cannot respect his own home, then he cannot lead a nation with love and responsibility, allowing the message to go far beyond romance and become a symbol of integrity, reminding people that real strength is not found in power, wealth, or beauty, but in loyalty. And whether true or not, this story became a deeply emotional moment for Africa, making people feel that the continent finally has leaders who cannot be manipulated or bought. With many saying Traoré represents a new generation of African leadership that is young, bold, proud, and unshakable, especially after decades where African leaders were often controlled by foreign powers through money, pressure, or promises, leaving many Africans feeling powerless as outsiders shaped their future. But this story created a new feeling, a sense that Africa is reclaiming its dignity step by step, with people saying this is the Africa they want, one that stands tall and confident, believing that if one leader can say no to powerful foreign influence, then others can too, creating hope, pride, and belief that Africa's future belongs in African hands, turning this moment into more than a rumor and instead a symbol of African strength, African pride, and African unity, while also sending a lesson to leaders around the world, not just in Africa, that real leadership is not about titles or power, but about character, knowing what is right and protecting it, standing firm when distractions and temptations appear. With many people saying the story teaches leaders to stay loyal to their mission, because a leader who easily falls for gifts, beauty, or rewards cannot guide a nation with honesty, while a leader who stays focused, humble, and disciplined earns real respect. And even young people learned that success attracts both good and bad attention, that as you rise, some will try to help you grow, while others will try to control you, making it your responsibility to choose wisely. Because leaders who protect their integrity also protect their people, reinforcing the idea that strong leaders cannot be bought and that their values must always be stronger than any offer, which is why the phrase "standing on business" became so closely connected to this story,
meaning doing what is right, with confidence, without fear, and without being shaken. With many saying Traoré's alleged rejection of the princess perfectly represents this idea, because he did not chase money, beauty, or status, but chose loyalty, purpose, and discipline, choosing his wife, his people, and his mission, showing what standing on business truly means. And across Africa, people said this moment shows how a leader should behave, not chasing fame, not accepting every offer, and not allowing outsiders to control the direction of the country, but instead standing firm, thinking clearly, and protecting values, which is real strength, turning the story into a celebration of African pride, African leadership, and African unity, with people loudly repeating that a win is a win, and even if the rumor is never fully confirmed, the message behind it became a powerful source of inspiration, reminding everyone that when you know who you are and what you stand for, no trick, no distraction, and no temptation can ever pull you off your path.